This is a 25-year-old mare. She is an ex-barrel horse. He's going to turn her around and walk her back and forth in a second. She barrel raced for 7 years, and she's been retired for about 2 years. She's been a pasture ornament. She's pigeon-toed in the front feet, so they are turned in. And you can see a lot of stiffness in her back legs and really in her hips too. Not a whole lot of movement going on there. There she is turning. She turns on her front end, which is odd for a barrel horse. So I think that points at some soreness in the hind end. She drags her back feet, she drags her back and her front feet normally, which she isn't really doing here. I think that'll show more at the trot. Turn her around and trot her. Her neck seems really good. There she goes dragging them. You can see all the dust she kicks up. She drags all 4. There she is. She trips a lot too. He's going to trot her back the other way. Trot her. Yeah, her ears are pinned, which shows some discomfort. And we're going to jump over and do the head towards me and away from me. Alright, walk her towards me. You can see her hind end kind of... Yeah, you see all her feet dragging. Now turn her and walk her away. You can see how pigeon-toed she is. She is due for a farrier trim, but she's not that far off. You can really see the stiffness in the hips here. All right, trot her towards me. See what we have. All right, now turn. I can hear some cracking in the hind end as she turned. Alright, now we're going to jump over and do the vitals.
Walling.
Alright, this is my horse, so I do trust to work on her untied, and I think it would be easier for me and her to move around. Normally I would tie up a horse though. But I'm going to check her breathing real quick. I'm going to straighten her out first, and then I'm going to watch her chest and see how many breaths per minute she takes. So she is at 14 breaths per minute, which is normal, so that's good. And I do not have a stethoscope, so I will be checking her pulse through the artery in her, on the inside of her jawbone. So we'll see how many beats per minute, what her BPM is at. And she is at 35 BPM, which is also in the normal range for standing horse. Next thing we're going to be checking is her capillary refill time. It should take about 2 seconds for her gums to refill after I press on them. There was a piece of hay, so she is giving me a little trouble. Open up. Alright, it took the normal amount of time, and the next thing I will be doing is her hydration test. So I pinch the skin right here, and it went back down, so she is hydrated. Isn't that right? And we will be moving on to the joint evaluations. So we're going to start with her face right here. And I'm going to check her teeth. She is a little tense, so I'm going to ask her to chew real quick. Let her relax for a second. Get her to relax those joints. There we go. I don't feel any tension or hesitation when I ask her to rub them together, so that feels good. Next, I'm going to be checking her TMJ on this side. So I like to ask her to chew, and I'm going to be listening for any clicking, feel any hesitation in that joint. I don't feel anything, so I'm going to switch to the other side and do it on this side. This side also feels really good. Next thing I will be checking is her atlas, which I like to pull these back and get a good feel for it. This side does feel like it's a little higher than the other side, but so I will definitely keep my eye on that. But other than that, the other side feels all right. Now I'm going to go down her neck. Oh, thank you. And I'm going to be checking all of those. There it is. That one feels good. Okay. That feels good. I'm looking for any signs of discomfort. I'm feeling for any of them that don't really feel like they want to move. So far, they've all been pretty good. There they are. This one right here is a little stiff, but it has a little bit of movement to it, so I need to keep my eye on that. This one's good. Oh, she thinks I'm asking her to move over. So far, all of them have been pretty good. She's not really reacting to any of them. All of them feel really good. There's no sign of discomfort. So I'm going to move down, and I'm going to do her leg on this side. Before I do her leg on the other side. Ooh. There we are. I'm checking her shoulder, and I'm going to start with, that looks really good. It feels really good. There's a good amount of movement. That feels really good. Her knee feels really good. I'm going to check her shoulder joint. Her shoulder joint looks good. That looks good. And now I'm going to check her C. Yeah, you can. Yeah. Check her C7. That looked really good. Now I'm going to check her, now that she's a little squared up, I'm going to try and square her up and go ahead and check her sternum. Where's she? Yeah, there we are. That's a really good sternum check. Stay. This pectoral does seem a little bigger. Her sternum seems to be a little tilted, but now we're going to do this side. I'm going to go down her neck again just to see if anything feels different on this side. She threw her head a little. This side, she seems to be throwing her head a little, but part of that could be she's sick of standing here, which licking and chewing is a good sign. This one's stiff right here, which is the same one that was stiff on the other side. And it also seems to be a little sticking out a little farther than the rest. You're okay. This one's good. And that one's good. All right, now I'm going to go down this leg. Oh, no, this leg. switch with me. There we are. I'm going to check all of these. Her foot seems a little stiff, but you still have a good range of movement. It's just a little stiff, and she is an older horse. This joint's good. She's resisting me a little when it comes to this joint, but other than that, the movement seems good. This joint seems to be moving all right, and the shoulder is great. Now let's check that last vertebrae under there. Yep. So that one looks good, just like the other side. Now I'm going to check her withers. Oh. She does have kind of high withers, and she is showing a little discomfort when I get right about here to the bottom. I'm going to see from the other side and see if she shows the same signs of discomfort on this side. Yep, her ears are back and she is looking towards me like she is uncomfortable. So right about here, right there is where that's where it's uncomfortable. And now I'm going to move down and do her vertebrae. All of these seem to be really good, kind of pulling on both sides. All of these seem really good. Oh, nope, no discomfort. She's checking out what I'm doing. Yep, all of those seem really good. So now I'm going to go down her ribs. About there. There it is. She's checking out what I'm doing. That one may have been discomfort, but other than looking back, not really any other sign. Almost to our last rib here. One more. Yeah, that one's a little uncomfortable, that very last one. Definitely pay attention when I check stress points. Oh, Alright. Now I'm going to go down. I'm going to check her hip joint. Will you hold her with one hand? I'm going to look at her hips, make sure that they're good. She is standing with this leg a little forward, so the hips are a little tilted, but nothing that points to being out of the ordinary. And I'm going to go down her back leg. She'll come around here. I'm going to go down her back leg and check out all of these real quick. Because she is older, she doesn't really like having her back legs picked up very high. And so I'm going to try and work with her and try and keep them as low as I can while still checking all of the joints, which she really doesn't want me to. There we go. All right. This joint seems to have good movement. Her hock does seem a little stiff. Her hock doesn't really want to have a lot of movement. And her stifle is also pretty stiff. She did used to get stifle injections and did end up stopping when she retired. So her stifle is definitely stiff. I'm going to come around and I'm going to do this hip. Here. Do this hip. And I'm going to check this back leg. I'm going to ask her to bring it forward just a little so you can see. She's really fighting me on this back leg. There's definitely some discomfort. But this joint seems fine. I'm not really feeling anything. The hock on this leg is also pretty stiff. And our stifle, that is also not really wanting to move and is also stiff. Ooh. Right now I'm going to go through and check all the common stress points.
Go.
So now I will be going over all her stress points. I did tie her up because I just felt like it would be easier on us if we had her tied up, especially for the stress points, so she wasn't trying to lower her head and stuff. But I'm going to start up here and I'm going to work my way down this side, and then I'm going to go down the other side. But I'm going to check this muscle right here. You see her lowering her head. I think she actually thinks it feels good. Yeah, she's licking and chewing. She kind of likes it. I'm going to check right. I feel a stress point right about here, but I feel tightness in this muscle, but she's not really reacting. I'm going to go down this muscle right here. Showing some interest, but no really signs of pain or distress. I'm going to check down here. All that feels really good. This feels really good. She's got a muscle right in here. All that feels really loose, really loose. I'm going to go down her shoulder. Feel for that. There we are. Right there. All that's really loose. Get to go down her chest real quick. That muscle right there is really loose. She's nice and relaxed, so all that's loose. It's feeling good so far. In front of her leg. Both of those feel good. This is where she did show some pain and stiffness before, so I'm definitely going to keep my eye out right in here. In case I feel anything, I'm going to come down and check where the girth would sit. That feels really good. Nice and loose. I am feeling some tightness throughout here. Nothing really that indicates a stress point. I'm going to go down along just on this dorsai. The farther away from that sore spot I get, the more relaxed it's starting to feel. Go down here. Just keep her relaxed. Check right in here. No pain indicators. Definitely some stiffness right in here too. Some stiffness here. This feels good. Easy. Check the top of her hip. Side of her hip. No stiffness there. All that's nice and relaxed. I'm going to come down her back leg. I definitely feel a lot of tightness there. She's kind of flicking her ears, like she might feel a little discomfort in here, which I do feel a stress point right about there. Yep, right about there. There's a stress point. Go down the front of her leg. This feels nice and loose. Go down the back of the leg. This side is good. We're going to switch over to the other side. We're going to check all the same points. See if there's any difference right in here. And come down. Oh, that feels loose. Look that way. There is a little stiffness right in here. That's nice and relaxed. This muscle right here. Alright, I'm gonna go down her chest. That's nice and relaxed, just like the other side. I'm gonna go down here. Check the back of this leg. She's looking at me, but there are really no signs of discomfort, more like she's curious as to what I'm doing. All this feels nice and good. Come up here and check right here. I'm going to check her girth area on this side. Again, no really signs of discomfort. She's licking and chewing like she likes it. I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to check where that soreness was earlier. I'm going to go all the way down the longissimus sore side. All of it feels really good. Just like the other side, the farther I get from here, the looser it feels. So that was definitely a sore spot. Right down here. I'm going to come back here by her hip and check in front of that. This is looser than the other side, which definitely something to write down. Oh. I'm going to do that again and see if that was discomfort or if she thought I was asking her to move. She is showing a little discomfort right about here. She kind of points her ears back and tosses her head a little bit. So I definitely think that is something to mark. Check right in here. This hind end is definitely a little stiffer than the other side. There's a lot of tension on this side. Check her hip. And here, check this again. All that's loose. It's mostly back here where I feel the tension. Right about here. And all of this is really tense. Come down here by the stifle. Go down the back of her leg. Alright, so pretty much this side is definitely something to keep my eye on and mark on a paper, because this side is a lot more tense than this side and pretty much everywhere. But that's it.